Road to l'IPO, les podcasts des entrepreneurs aguerris. Today's podcast is in English, and I have the great pleasure to have on the show Jan Arp, co-founder of the Holt FinTech Accelerator and FinTech Evangelist. Hi, Jan. How's it going?
It's going great. How you doing?
Fine, thank you. Really, thank you for inviting us here. And for those who don't know you, can you introduce yourself?
Sure. First off, great pleasure to be on your podcast. You've been doing some great things, some great interviews. So always fortunate for me to be on the show. So yeah, my name is Jan. I'm a, self-proclaimed fintech evangelist, but now co-founder and co-managing partner of the Holt Accelerator, actually right here, and where we are right now here today. So I've been just very focused, finance background plus decade, tech scene, more in the last 5+ years, and just started working with as many fintechs as possible, probably about the hundreds or so. And just fell in love with the industry, and so that's where it led me to this next journey of where we are right now.
Cool. So I want to ask you, why fintech? There's a lot of stuff in finance, but why financial technology?
I think finance is so integrated in every industry, within every interaction. It can be, and it can be such an enabler to it. So I'm very passionate about what we can do and how it can make the world a better place. And so I can give you an example. Like right now, we're exchanging, right? We're trading value, and that value is time. And you have your time that you're giving me, and you have to all your thousands and millions of audience that you allow me to speak on. And so I'm very fortunate. So that's very valuable for me. And I hope I create some value for the audience for what you're listening to. The mechanisms around trade, sometimes it's around a negotiation, but a lot of it is a financing or discussion and negotiation. And you can, sometimes it's a little more clear, and you bring the lawyers to box in those things and then create a kind of a structure or financing mechanism to sort of make that happen. And I'm very passionate to see where we could take this. To give you just another example, let's look at Facebook. Your page, well, on average, the average page, yours is probably worth a little more, is worth more or less around $1,800 per page. This was a couple years ago, so I'm sure the price went up. And that's what they value it at. And on top of that, for every time you like or share, you make money for Facebook. You are putting in your own time. You are giving your share and your own energy, but you're not making any of that money. Yet you're creating content, but not earning any of that money for that content that you're liking or sharing in many cases. And I find that model very interesting. I don't necessarily think it's the most fair. We do it because we were addicted to it, but I do wonder if there's a model which every time you make an action or a transaction, let's put it in this case, that you would earn from that, right? A meritocracy that's there. So that's kind of a big picture and an example of how it could potentially work. But all to say is I'm just very passionate about just fixing the banking solutions that are out there. It affects every human being on earth, and I want to make sure we give them the best services and what is most fair, and bring on the billions of people who are unbanked, bring them into this world where they have a shot at tapping into their creative and their creativity and their power.
Is your mission to bring value on the financial industry? Really value connecting people, not only with just the money, but more with some connections to the financial system?
Absolutely. The financial institutions are the key players. They hold years of knowledge and problems that can be solved and can help teams move very forward very quickly. I'm very interested in building a stakeholder, an ecosystem, and so that would be one of the key players. And at the center, though, one of the most fundamental to this is the entrepreneur. Right? That's the innovator. That's in some cases the disruptor. Not always completely disruption, but can help evolve the current services that are out there. And so we build a system that's around that entrepreneur and then that fintech and that startup. And so we have 13 fintechs that we selected, and we try and find the right stakeholders to support them on their journey.
Cool. So today's podcast is a little bit different. We're gonna present the stars from the Holt FinTech Accelerator, so we can introduce one of them right now.
Yeah, why don't we, the best way to do this is actually to meet some of the teams. Do you mind if I grab one?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, cool. Hey Charles, do you want to come pitch?
Yeah.
So I'll set the stage for this one. This is a Montreal-based startup. I'll have you go towards the microphone over there as he's setting it up. He's a Montreal-based fintech, but he's previously spent most of his past time in Europe, so we're very fortunate to have a seasoned entrepreneur who's here to actually present to us and pitch a little bit. I think we're going to get you up on the microphone.
Yeah, that one.
Cool. So how would we like to do it? Do you want to hear his pitch? Why don't we give you the...
Introduce yourself and to the audience, look at the camera and...
Okay. So hi, my name is Charles Nouirit. I'm a French entrepreneur based in Montreal since something about 7 years now. I'm doing mobile instant checkout for banks and retailers, especially addressing the new PSD2, which is the new regulation in Europe. So mostly that's it.
Cool. Very nice. So I just want to ask you a question.
Right.
How do you see what they're doing in Europe, and what did you see that we can bring here in Canada? What can we bring that?
Well, actually, the open banking is going to be a very big transformation in how banks do business, and it's going to set up the future of payment, and especially the e-payments, where the credit cards and the debit cards are going to be gone, actually, just obsolete. So it's going to impact the rest of the world in about 4 to 5 years, something like that. We're going to start open banking by 2020 here.
Okay.
So it's going to have a huge impact. There's not a conference worldwide without a panel about open banking.
Cool. And one last question I want to ask you. Why did you decide to come here in Montreal with the Holt FinTech Accelerator?
Well, actually, I fell in love with the woman here, so she drove me here.
Okay.
That's how I've been based here. I met Jan and Brandon at the very beginning, actually, of the Holt Accelerator, so I'm quite happy to be here.
Cool. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Awesome. Let's see who else I can pull in. Christine, do you want to rock? Yeah, go next.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, man.
Take care.
Appreciate.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Abs, no correlation.
We'll get you to swing around that side. So yeah, we'll see. 3 members of the team. Why not? So this next one, these guys are from the good old US of A, and they're here to speak a little bit of their story. I love your guys' story. So maybe you guys can do the pitch right from like how you guys kind of discovered it.
Just be near the microphone and look at the camera. So
Yeah, absolutely. Before I go into what we're doing, I'll definitely explain why we're doing it. Me and my randomly assigned freshman year roommate, we were looking at living off campus our sophomore year, and when we were applying for off-campus housing, we ended up getting rejected from every single apartment complex around the university. So my roommate, he was a Bill Gates scholar, so he actually didn't even need to pay for housing, and I obviously had scholarships and available capital to fund the housing, but the reason why we didn't get accepted was because we didn't have established credit scores. So we did some research and we found out that we weren't alone in this particular problem. We found out that in 2009, an act called the CARD Act was passed, and it prevented financial institutions from going onto college campuses and advertising financial products. So 2/3 of every millennial has no idea of how to actually establish credit. So for David and I, we did what we do best and solved the problem for ourselves. And we built our own credit scores, and then we started helping our friends and became board certified credit score consultants. And then after that, we were helping our families and just random peers establish and build their credit. And after that, we recognized a huge opportunity to build a tech solution to scale. And thus Kuru, which stands for Credit Guru, was born. And it's an app that automates credit building.
Cool. I have a couple of questions for you. For those that listen to this podcast and watching the videos, you say that you went from a rejection, did a lot of rejections. How do you go by that? People they want to start a business and they got a lot of rejection. What advice would you give them to just pass by those rejections?
Yeah, so nowadays there are a lot of alternative lending opportunities. There are some that are not good and some things that you should not do, but innovation and startups have really come a long way, where if you don't have an available cosigner, you don't have someone else's score, an established score that you can use and tail off of. There's companies like Self-Lender that will help you get those particular financials, and there's different co-signing companies that will help you get those particular financial products.
Cool. What do you think about the Equifax? What happened with Equifax? I think it was this year.
Yeah. 143 million people's information basically became public, and that comes down from not even just their names and their address, but social security numbers and things that really help individuals remain individuals. And so that it can't happen. Okay. Things like that literally cannot happen. And the it had to have been a wake-up call. Unfortunately, I don't think it was as much of a wake-up call for the bureaus, but it needs to be a wake-up call for both bureaus and the consumers to really understand how important data security is. And nowadays, blockchain and a lot of decentralized networks provide a different and a unique level of security that can be used to help protect people's data. So we're looking to help bring that new wave of identity and data security.
Cool. Great job. So last question is, why did you decide to come to Montreal with the FinTech Holt Accelerator? Why?
Yeah. Bouncing from the last answer, with the current available technologies, Holt has a wonderful AI partner with Strategy AI, and we really think that we can leverage their mentorship and Holt's guidance in creating a more fair lending model that will increase not only security, but increase loan volume while decreasing default rates, and more of a globalized system. So if you were looking to live in the States, you're starting your credit score over, and I don't think that that should be the case. So creating a more globalized and accessible system for everyone.
Where are you from?
We're from DC originally, but our company is based out of Charlotte, North Carolina.
You didn't see the winter yet, huh?
Oh no, I'm excited though. Jan has told me wonderful things about all of the wonderful things we can do when it's cold. So
we're gonna go snowboarding. We're gonna build snowmen. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
I'm very excited for Montreal. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was an absolute pleasure.
Cool. Thank you.
And I'll get one more last guess, maybe, just so that we can get a good feel of a good sample of teams that we have here. Ready to rock, Christina? All right, so we'll bring in our third one to complete the sample as well of our teams. We did select 13 in totals, but you'll see at least 3 to get a flavor of different companies.
A woman here. Just close the door.
Yeah. So Christina, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? More like do the pitch, but how you got into Ivy Lender.
Just look at the camera and be near the microphone.
Sure. Come closer. Okay. Yeah. Are you gonna edit this? Okay. Hi, I'm Christina. I'm the founder of Ivy Lender. Yeah. We are a small business lending platform that provides payment processing as well as lending solutions on one single platform. And so we match applicants based on their credit profiles. We look at their bank history, 12 months of bank history to see how their revenue is trending. We also pull their FICO score to see which lender would be best suited for the applicant. That's pretty much great.
I have some couple of questions. Where do you see women in fintech? I don't think there is a lot. Maybe I don't have that much information, but what is the place for women in fintech?
So I think there's a huge opportunity for women in fintech, right? So we only represent about 6% of C-level executives in technology as a whole. So when you drill it down to fintech, that number gets substantially smaller. I can tell you in the United States, which is where our company is based, I'm one of 20 women in the payment space. We all know each other, and I'm the youngest self-funded. Those numbers are very, they evoke multiple emotions, right? So as a women-owned business, I feel a passion inside not only to succeed for myself, but for future generations of women. I also feel a personal responsibility to empower younger generations within my company, right? So trying to source talent, trying to develop that talent and identify opportunities for growth. Partnering with other women in fintech and making sure that they can succeed is also something that is a passion of mine. So I think that there's a huge opportunity for growth. Another sad statistic about fintech and women is that 45% of women are leaving technology every year. So not only do we need to do a better job of recruiting them, but keeping them happy in their roles and making sure that they're not leaving the industry as a whole, which is what's happening right now.
Why are they quitting the industry? I think there's a lot of opportunities, so why are they just leaving like that?
So, the statistics don't really tell you the story behind the numbers, so I couldn't give you an honest answer. Just from personal experience, what I experienced in the financial sector before I started my company was discriminatory, right? And when it comes to getting raises, when it comes to the pay variance between women and men.
Yes.
And then just, I had about 35 peers that some of the men in my previous role would treat me as if I was their assistant, and I was on the same level as them. So I'm sure that women experience many different things that lead them to their decision to leave. Perhaps they feel barriers to entry or barriers to just moving up internally.
I think you're doing a great job, for real. But I want to ask you a last question. Why did you decide to come to Montreal? Why the Holt FinTech Accelerator?
So just being attached to the family is a great opportunity for us, exposure into the ecosystem in Canada. FinTech as a whole is, really just an amazing opportunity in Canada. And so we've had challenges in Miami. There's not a big tech culture. And so there's also less competition. It's in my market specifically, it's less crowded. So I think that just the opportunity to open doors, to add artificial intelligence to our process through strategy AI is also a great thing that drove us to the decision to come.
Cool. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Thanks so much. Cool. That was got a little snippet of the type of companies that we have here.
Yes. So, you know what? I'm really amazing with you, because I came here to interview you, but you gave a lot of value to the stars here that came here. So that's very great from you.
It's the least we can do. I mean, ultimately, they're the stars. They're the rock stars. I'm just fortunate to be able to get to work with all these rock stars. So it's been a lot of fun.
So yes, if I just want to let people know where they can contact you personally, or the FinTech Holt Accelerator. What's the websites and
it's at the Holt Accelerator.ai website. And go online. That's where we tell all the teams, if you're in FinTech, to apply. We're always looking at those applications, so I suggest do that. You don't have to wait until our next batch. We probably will do cohorts once a year right now, but we do look at them as they come through, and we always wonder if there's other opportunities. So it's not just necessarily through the cohort, so I suggest to apply that way. And you can see contact information there to reach out to me. We
are going to put all the links on the description of the video and the podcast so people can join you. So let's talk about the accelerator. So let's talk about the Holt family legacy.
Sure.
So who they are, and because maybe people don't know really who they are.
So Sir Herbert Holt, where it started, he came here, immigrated here in the later 1800s, Irish descent, and helped build CN Rail, which was the railway that goes across Canada. So that is a technology in the early or late 1800s that went across, right? And from there, he actually went on to build the Light, Heat and Power Company, which eventually got expropriated and nationalized and became known as Hydro-Quebec, which also is a very tech-heavy, especially at its time. This would have been now at the early 1900s when he had built that and sold that off. Excuse me. And then thereafter, he decided to join as the chairman, and he was the longest-serving president at the time of RBC. And so he was there for 33 years, I believe. And so that brings in and flavors in the finance background as well.
Cool. Would you say that he was a pioneer for his time?
Absolutely, 100%. A pioneer for entrepreneurship in Canada.
And energy sector too, with the Quebec.
I'd say infrastructure, energy, and banking. He had 300 businesses internationally, which you could only, sometimes you have to think, it's like, how did he make all those meetings and board? He must have been filled with board meetings every single day. There's no Zoom, right? There's no Skype. So how was he handling all these calls and going from nothing from when he arrived here to where he got? Very impressive for someone to be able to do that.
Wow.
I do want to touch, we do have some of the family here. I can bring them.
Let's go ahead. We can have them on the podcast.
Yeah. You ready to go?
You ready?
Yeah, I'll get them. Cool. So I just they were busy working, so I had to pull them in and ask them to join. But here, come on in, Stuart. We'll have you sit over there. Let me watch the.
Okay, here we go.
And we'll get you on the other side. Well, we put you in the hot seat, right?
Put Maggie in the hot seat.
So we have, we're very fortunate. We've got a couple members of the family here, both Stuart Dutton and Maggie Dunphy as well. You guys want to say hello?
Hello.
Yes. Good afternoon.
I just wanted to just tell you how excited we are to have the Holt Accelerator in our office here in Montreal.
Yes.
It's just very amazing to have all these individuals like-minded working together and trying to create a product that will just hopefully,
Be transformed.
be
Transformational.
Yeah, and it's so great to be able to give that to the community.
That's right. It's it's our family legacy. It comes from entrepreneurship, and it's our opportunity to give something back to the community and watch these kids grow their businesses into something quite unique. So
Yeah, especially to Montreal.
So you can ask you a couple of questions.
Sure.
So you have like a big family legacy from the past, but what's the legacy for the future that you want to bring in Montreal, in Canada? What's the next legacy that you guys want to leave?
Well, the legacy we want to leave is knowing our past, is be able to continue that legacy and share it with others, especially here in Canada.
Okay.
To see entrepreneurs in Canada be given the opportunity to develop or at least realize their own ambitions.
Mm-hmm. And some of these people are from all over the world and coming here. They love Montreal. They love Quebec. I've spoken to 3 or 4 of them. They all want to move here. They want to become a Canadian. And I'm like, wow, this was so exciting to hear them say that. So I think we're lucky that we have them, and they're lucky that they have us, and we work together.
And it's interesting, as I just thought about it, is that my forebears, where we created, they came from abroad. They came from Ireland. They came from Scotland, and they managed to build a life for themselves here, and we were quite successful at it. And so that's what we want to duplicate. We want to encourage other people to come to Canada, experience what we have here, and give them the opportunity to realize their ambitions.
Yep.
Good.
It's very exciting.
And why technology? Why did you decide to really focus on technology? Why fintech?
Well, that's our area of expertise. I mean, we're both managers. We know the community. I mean, across Canada, I've been in this business, as my father was, for many, many, many years. And we have the network, and it's important. Now, in order for us to help these kids, it's, the network is critically important, and we do have that, so we can help them there. Other areas, it was just technology would be difficult.
Or medicine.
Healthcare would be very difficult too. But in financial technology, we do have the network. So.
Yeah.
Good.
Thank
you very much.
Together. Oh, you're welcome.
And why did you choose Jan?
He's a superstar.
Because when we started this, we were saying, who was the one person we should have?
He was the one.
He's the one.
He's the man.
Yeah. He gets things done, and that's important. I mean, it's speed is, I'm not going to say is of the essence in this business, but you have to get things done.
Yes.
We get things done as a family office, and when we find somebody that actually gets things done just as quickly as we do, we're just very excited to work together.
Yeah.
Cool. I appreciate. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
Cool, and thanks for that plug as well. That was good for me.
That's
I'm going to add that tagline to my LinkedIn resume right there.
We'll split the check.
Exactly, I paid them to do that.
Thank you very much. Appreciate.
What's good?
All right, so we hear really the people that make this happen, and so I just want to get in details. What is the Holt FinTech Accelerator? Like, for just to people to understand, because there's a lot of people talk, but just want to make it show what it is.
Yeah. So this all started through many trials and errors of different projects from my side, but also a dream on Brendan, who is the son of Stuart's, so the great-grandson of Sir Herbert Holt, who had done a sports accelerator out in Berlin with the Adidas family.
Okay.
And this was several years back now, and was one of the first investors there. And then he's been investing a lot in diversifying their portfolio in the tech space and in fintech at that, because they know finance so well as well. And so through time he said, I want to do an accelerator, and I said, me too. This is what's missing within the Canadian ecosystem right now. And the biggest reason why is that we have very strong, sound financial institutions who we know have weathered the storm from the 2008 crisis. They had great structures in place, very sharp, very just powerful entities there.
Yes.
But I will say sometimes maybe slower on the innovation adoption right now. And I felt they've been a little behind, so much so that they usually only want to work with what I would call Series A, Series B companies. But many times for a company to become a Series A, Series B company, well, you already need to be working with a big financial institution. So now you have this sort of chicken and egg story. Like, how do you create this partnership between them? They don't want to work with you until you're big enough, but you can only get big enough unless you're working with them. So we said, okay, this is silly. We have these teams are good. We know where to find them. And we had 400 applications from our world, and we'll choose the top 13, and we'll put the credibility in our name behind that. Right, and we'll give them a little money. We'll support them as they go forward, and then we'll leverage other partners. So we had mentioned Strategy AI, so we can build out their tech stacks. We have 24 VCs, so we can help them complete their round from investment. And we had another dozen financial institutions who are looking for POCs, and we help close those deals.
So you guys are accelerating the process of the fintech startups.
Right, I guess that's why we get the term accelerator.
Yes, yeah, for sure. So why Montreal? Because they have an history here in Montreal, but why here especially? Why not Toronto? Why not, let's say, New York and everything?
Well, from the family side, they wanted to give back to where it all started for them. Right, and so for them, it was in Quebec where it all was created, and this is where the family is still very, very much based. And they said, we want to do it here. This is our way of giving back to that community. And from my side, when I was in this, I've been just very involved in building out the fintech ecosystem, and very fortunate to be one of the players of many who have contributed to building out this ecosystem. And just understanding that there's such an opportunity. I think the future is going to be heavily tech driven, and like I'm talking deep tech driven. And Montreal is a world leader of that. And so we have we have the second largest student population in North America. With that, you have tons of researchers and research, right? You have billions of dollars that are flowing into artificial intelligence. Sometimes a lot propelled by the government, but you don't have to go too far to hear about AI and Montreal being, if not the top, and especially in deep learning in the world for deep learning. And so you have some really smart people that are here. You have some really strong financial institutions, family offices, pension companies that are here. So I guess sound. Let's call them potential customers. You have all the ingredients of the right stakeholders that can come together, and a budding startup scene right now that's just starting. So for me, it was this kind of best kept secret that I was looking to really help. I wanted to erupt and put Montreal on sort of the global stage, and it's kind of fun to live here as well, right? The joie de vivre, the lifestyle that we have here.
It's a very good ecosystem.
Absolutely.
Cool. So let's talk a little bit how these startups apply to the accelerator, the criteria and everything. How did the process to apply?
So very simple. It's just you can go on the website holtaccelerator.ai/apply. Click there. There's a link that's already ready to go. 20 questions. Fill that in, and I'm reviewing them as they come in, like I said, and we'll do our next cohort sometime next year, but hey, we might already start working with you beforehand. So
cool. And also I want to talk because they came from all around the world. So why is it so important to have all these people that came from all around the world, not just Montreal, not just Canada?
I think as we go forward into the future, innovation knows no boundaries. And so that's geography barriers that are being broken, those are industry barriers being broken, that is technology barriers being broken. And so what does that mean? It means as we see which either city or province or country, for a startup, you're looking for that target market. Is it just easy to say, oh, it's in Montreal and it's these type of people? Well, maybe there's many people who share that same problem all over the world. Right? Let's look at different industries. You have insurance and you have health. This is one of the easiest examples that you have. And who owns that customer journey? right? And so in this case, we're seeing more and more of the insurance providers, providing solutions for preventative health. So they're kind of going, upstream, if I guess I could say that, to make sure that their clientele is healthier, because that means less claims down the line. So it actually is more beneficial for them.
Yes.
So that was previously seen as a health tech, a health side. So it's an industry kind of starting to emerge. Let's look at technologies.
Yeah.
And we could talk about artificial intelligence, and then you can flavor in some blockchain, right?
Okay.
Because blockchain is a good database, and AI is a good way of manipulating that database.
Yes.
Now you can even throw in some quantum computing there to make sure that it's all technically sound, or for very precise certain type of applications. The point is, everything is sort of merging together, and that's where innovation, some would argue, we don't create anything new anymore. We just build off of what was already built. Look at blockchain technology.
True.
Blockchain technology is a combination of game theory, computer science, cryptography, right? And so being able to merge those together, someone came up and just pulled those in and found out it was soup. To make it super tasty that it served to the rest of the world, and we all started eating bitcoins, right? Yeah. And I think that true still holds, and why I just want to work with the best.
Yes.
And those best are out there. Those are entrepreneurs and all around the world, and we all speak the same language of lean startup, and these are the people that I'm looking for.
So you say that technology brings all these fields together, but also I believe technology also brings all these people from all around the world together. So that's what really is important.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. Great. So I just want to, before we go to the last part of the podcast, I want to talk about the AI. So why AI matters on financing? Why is it so important to have AI in finances in general?
Yeah. I mean, any startup company, tech startup company, could be argued to be an AI play. It's almost synonymous now. You would think they go hand in hand. And never is that more true than I would say in the fintech space. And why is that? Because in fintech, you're delivering a lot of services, but you're also pulling in lots of data, very rich data. This data usually says where you spend money, right? In the startup world, it's not real until you get a customer who actually pays. They might say, yes, I'll do that, but when they pay, because where you pay really is indicative of who you are, right? Where you put your money where your mouth is. And so these sort of transactions, this is gold, right? It's valuable. And so now when you're able to do it, now it's also what you do with that. Can you make analysis on that? More importantly, can you make recommendations? And so that is why within the financial sphere, you're offering better solutions and services that are considered financial, but in many ways you're pulling in new data and being able to provide new recommendations. That's where the gold really is. And you do so by leveraging AI.
So AI will help categorize all the data and really make it more efficient, like really more easily to banks to go by all the data.
Yeah, I mean, categorizing data and then making recommendation just categorizing is a beast in itself. And if you look at a lot of the financial institutions, that they're having to go back and clean up their data sets so that they can apply the AI on it. But it's important to know this, because when you're building your startup, you need to understand where you get your data, how can you get data, how do you structure your data so that it is more ready for, let's say, that Series A, Series B financing that comes down the line.
Cool. So I have two last questions, and we talk a lot about financial technology in this podcast. And people are watching and listening to this, and some of them are not experts on that subject. So does the general public understand fintech? Do the general public, Miss or Mr., do they understand what fintech is?
I don't think so yet. I think it's still, excuse me. I think it's still a buzzword for which. It's a good banner, and a lot of the world has gotten behind it and accepted it to be the one that, this is happening, and we're going to call it fintech. But when I do speak to a lot of educated friends or family, they think fintech is, you're in fintech. How's your company doing? They think fintech is my company. Or they don't know, fintech is the industry in which I work, and the company is called Holt. Or FinTech Accelerator, right? So I don't think it's properly understood. I go to classes in university, and I'm speaking to finance class in fourth year, and I'm going, who here has used, financial fintech products? And they don't even know what are financial products, right? What are fintech products? They don't know that when they made an e-transfer to their friend most recently, that was a really sound fintech application on the payment side of things from the banks. So even banks are obviously doing fintech, right? It's just financial technology. To other ones where they may have heard of some of the bigger names, like they just weren't aware that this was even fintech, even though they're engaging with it. And so that is part of what I believe in demystifying it. And so it becomes, wait a minute, we know what this is, we're using this, so how do we make this even better? Because for us to do this properly, you need everyone's voice. Everyone needs to be educated around how this is. Because we're all trying to build products for people, but they need to understand what these products are. And in many ways, the ultimate center, as we talked about, is their data. And I think this is a very important piece because we're leveraging their data to be able to make new products and services, and they need to be okay with how we're using people's data. So they need to be more aware and cognizant of the future of how their data is being bought and sold in the background, and how it is being fully utilized to its fullest extent, and who is accessed and who is using it and who's seeing it. So these are other questions to go down, but this is an important message what I want to convey, and what I want to try to do is just really demystify fintech and the whole data aspect behind it.
It comes with a lot of education, and talking about education on the last subject of the podcast, I want to talk about you're also a co-founder of Holt FinTech, which is a community of fintech enthusiasts, and there's a lot of education there. So what is it exactly?
I was very fortunate in a past life to have founded Holt FinTech, which was a way to, I would say, first educate people on what is fintech in the local ecosystem here in Montreal, to help them, and once they're educated, put them on teams, real teams from real financial institutions who have problems through what I call open innovation challenges. And then third, help them focus after they kind of got through almost like a very early stage incubator, which would eventually, hopefully, some of those teams and entrepreneurs would make it onto the Holt Accelerator. And so I still give my time, and Holt still gives their time to other community players. And so one of them being Holt FinTech. And the goal there is really to educate, demystify, and work with those next batch of entrepreneurs. I think we must have worked with close to 1,000 people, and helping them move the fintech cause. And in doing so, they spread the word, they spread the gospel, right? It's not my past title as a fintech evangelist, self-proclaimed, which I think is really important, of what is happening, and so that others can be more up to speed and have the education so that we can all be aware and make better decisions as we go forward. And hey, maybe we're interested in this and we want to start our own business, and we find some cool entrepreneurs who we can help support.
Cool, you're doing a lot of great stuff. I appreciate you having speaking here on the podcast. Really, thank you very much, and it was a great podcast, a little bit differently, but I see that you give a lot and giving to all the startup founders. Thank you very much.
Cool, my pleasure, and thanks so much for creating some awareness for our ecosystem.
No problem, thank you.
Cool. So actually, we do have a little bonus. Actually, I know we said 3 of 13, but we had 2 more of our companies roll in, and I always like to give them the attention. I mean, they're the stars of the reason that we exist and why we get up every day and do what we do. So why don't we throw it to you guys? Actually, we'll get the 2-for-1 combo here. Bryce, do you want to start because you're closer to the microphone?
Just to make sure, be near the micro and look at the camera both.
Look at the camera? Yes. Okay, sure. My pleasure. Okay, so hi, my name is Bryce. I'm the CEO of Commercial Passport, and we are a platform that helps different financial institutions inside capital markets automate their KYC and AML process, otherwise known as Know Your Customer or Know Your Client. Our goal is to basically help these institutions navigate through complex regulations and help them have a great relationship with their customers when they're submitting these complicated documents.
Cool. And Landon.
Cool. So hi, my name is Landon Avers. I'm the COO for CapitalWise. CapitalWise is an AI platform for retail banks that helps them better engage with their customers and improve their financial wellness over time. We work with banks to make sure that their customers are doing well and make recommendations to those customers on how they can better save for their future, how they can better select the right products at the bank instead of just picking the ones that everyone else does, and how they can deepen their relationship between the customer and the bank over time.
Cool. I have a couple of questions for you guys. Sure. So why did you decide to go in fintech? What was the reason that you said, fintech is what I want to do?
Yeah, so I guess I can go first. My background is a mix of finance and technology. I'm passionate about both. I think both have the power to really change people's lives for the better. And I think fintech is exactly where that happens. It's helping people who, on a mass scale, really have better access to making their own lives better.
Good.
Yeah, I mean, I would echo some of those sentiments and say that it's been an industry that's probably been ripe for disruption for a long time.
Yeah.
So it's in sort of in the old world. In some extent, some processes haven't been updated with technology. So there's an opportunity there to, like Landon said, better serve customers, but also leverage the technology to have a massive impact and kind of a domino effect across the board.
Okay, so you both talk about the customers because we see right now banks just care about the money. So I just want to have why it's so important to have the customer integrate in the financial technology.
Yeah, so I think if banks don't pay attention to their customers and start giving their customers what they want, which is that quick, fast, easy, efficient service, banks are going to lose their customers.
Yes.
So the banks themselves are going to be disrupted. So I think banks are finally paying attention and realizing that they can't be this black box of old money, that they have to really pay attention to their end consumers.
I would agree and say that if we think about how Amazon has sort of changed the perception of the delivery of goods, whether it's your experience or customer service or your engagement to have a product quickly, that entire adoption of interaction between customers and technology has facilitated the expectations that people should get what they want fairly easily and fairly quickly.
Yes.
And if banks don't catch up to that, then they will be disrupted in a way where they're going to need to do a lot more to innovate internally. So their best bet is to partner with startup companies where they can integrate that from the very beginning and then grow gradually with them.
Cool. So last question, why did you decide to come to Montreal with the FinTech Holt Accelerator? What was the reason?
Yeah, do you want to go first?
Sure. We saw a perfect partnership for a couple of different reasons. One, the accelerator provided us with a cadence and a rhythm to really work together on deliverables. Jan and the rest of the team here has been amazing at actually making sure that we're staying on target. And this helps us understand our own internal metrics that we should be measuring. So that's good both from an investor perspective, but also from a client acquisition perspective. So it also gives us access to a new market, to new customers, and to a network that we didn't necessarily have on our own.
Cool. And?
Yeah, and I completely agree with that. I think a lot of accelerator programs are intended for earlier stage companies where they're mostly about education. This one is truly accelerating us. They're really putting their energy behind helping us with all of our goals.
And I would add that they've been delivering on their promise in terms of brokering relationships that have been hard to get on our own. So, sometimes people will say, oh, we'll introduce you to our network, but it's kind of a vague promise. And here we felt like we've been taken care of. And each week there are new people that we're meeting that are, specifically meeting some of our objectives.
Cool. Yeah, it's a great place. Thank you. Thank you very much for sharing your journey and your values and everything. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cool. Do we have any others?
No, we're good.
All right.
Awesome. We did it.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.